Hey guys, Phoenix here, just a short video about how to do the short skate maneuvers in BVR combat. This one's going to be just a regular skate maneuver against a MiG-29. I'll be shooting AIM-120s, the MiG's going to be shooting its R-77 Adder missile, and we'll see what happens. So here we are in the aircraft at 26, we're going down to Angels 26, we're head on with a MiG. So we're going to set up the countermeasures and lock the target. I'm going to lock it in STT because the MiG is the only target, so I don't really need to keep track of anything else around at the moment. You can also do this in TWS. I'm also going to immediately start a right crank in order to extend the intercept point for his missile out as far as I can so that he has to get closer in order to fire his missile, which is going to give me more time to get close for mine. So we're going to hold the crank here, and at some point, I think he fired at about 17 in this one. And there's the shot. Yeah, so he just fired his missile. I'm just going to keep the crank going here. I know I'm perfectly safe because the range is far enough out that if I make maneuvers, I will survive this. And then as I hit about 15 miles, I'm going to turn and crank back in towards him. I'm going to pass through 12 o'clock. There's Fox 3, and I'm going to keep cranking in the other direction now. And just try to keep him locked up on radar until my missile goes pitbull. You can see in the bottom right, 1 active, 0, and there's the missile pitbull. I'm going to do a 5G slice turn away from the missile, and go cold to him and extend and get out of range of that missile. Hopefully my missile will kill him, but if it doesn't, my options are just going to be to extend out on this one. I think there's no way I can turn around with him being faster than me. So, but I'm going to go cold to him, fly straight away from him, and then I'm going to start doing these left and right maneuvers just while the missile's still locking me. I don't really know how far away it is, so I'm just going to keep turning left and right until I know for a fact it's been trashed and I lose that RWR. So that, in a nutshell, is the skate maneuver. So even if he fires a missile, if it's outside the minimum abort range, you know that you're going to be safe just by turning cold. I probably don't even need to do these side-to-side motions, but for safety, of course, you're going to do them anyway, because you don't know how far away that missile is. And that's going to be it. Here's the TAC view of the BVR engagement we just had here. I just want to point out a few things. So you can see as we're flying towards each other here, Angels 26-ish, there's 20 miles. I'm going to start to crank to the right, and that's just to provide the furthest intercept possible for that missile, and actually it's going to result in his RMAX not being hit until a little bit later on, because the intercept point is out here now and not straight in front of us, closer to him. So it's going to result in him closing the distance a little more than he would normally before he fires his shot. So we're going to keep going here, cranking, 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 and there is his shot right there coming off the rails. Which is where I get the warning. I'm just going to hang out here for a minute, let the range close to my skate range that I decided was going to be about 15 or 14 miles or so. And as I start to come back around the corner here, there's the turn back. And I'm going to come through the 12 o'clock, keep pulling, but as I pass through 12 o'clock, I'm going to launch my own AIM-120, and keep turning, keep turning. Once that missile goes pitbull, which will happen right as I get to the edge of the radar, as we saw in the video. It was pretty close to bang on what it was supposed to be. Right as I get to the right edge of the radar travel is when it goes pitbull, and as soon as that happens, I'm going to pull the aircraft over into a 5G left slice turn right there. There we go. And that's going to make that missile maneuver as much as possible in order to try to catch me, and also dragging it down into the thicker air down low. You can see me losing altitude quite rapidly there. Right as I hit the apex of the turn there, I pop flares and chaff. Now in this case it's because I don't actually have my flares and chaff set up separately. I didn't need the flares, but you know, you do what you gotta do. The missile unfortunately didn't guide onto the chaff this time. The idea is for it to confuse your aircraft with the chaff, but since it's Doppler radar and it actually knows that you're, how fast you're moving versus how fast your countermeasure is moving, if you pop chaff while the missile is directly behind you, it's never going to fall for it because the chaff is almost immediately stationary, whereas your aircraft is still doing like Mach 1 in the opposite direction. I'm also going to start to maneuver here left and right in order to make the missile bleed as much energy as possible, but you can see even here, the missile's really nowhere near to me. It's like 3 miles out, so even if I hadn't made these left and right turns, I still would have trashed that missile, no problem, and that's because I aborted before the minimum abort range of about 10 to 12 miles from the target. So I'm going to pull these turns here, but you can see it's already trashed. It's doing 0.45, it's coming down through 14,000 feet, but it doesn't have the energy to climb anymore. And there it goes down into the water. Meanwhile, my missile has actually splashed him. If it hadn't, well, the F-18 kind of lacks the capability to disengage very easily because it doesn't have a lot of power. It needs basically full burner, gets it up to like 1.2, 1.3 Mach at high altitudes. The MiG can catch you pretty easily, even with that, so At that point, you'd be relying on friendly aircraft support or SAM sites, whatever you want to use to try to sanitize your 6. But at that point, it's not really an option to turn around in this particular case, because the MiG's just going to nail you in the turn. So, but yeah, that is the escape maneuver and the cranking maneuver. So hope you enjoyed it.